Hey friends, welcome back to Hot News. Hope you had a great whatever day you exist in, because life would be like ooh-ah-ooh. So, with that being said, you know what's not like ooh-ah-ooh? This first article that we got going on today, which is Bethesda just continuing to tick off the very few remaining people who can even tolerate the crap show of a game that is Fallout 76. Obviously, not the greatest, most popular game when it launched as an online game, and then also just continuing to do things that they promised that they would never do. In case you're not familiar, they said that the microtransactions that were going to be in Fallout 76 would never be for anything that actually mattered. It would be for cosmetic stuff and aesthetic changes. Well, that changed a few months back where they started unveiling a few new packs here and there that actually had in-game impact, and then I guess the straw that's going to break the camel's back is a refrigerator, a $7 in-game item. It affects the spoilage rate of food in the game and actually has a pretty significant impact in how you can play the game for $7. And the only issue is that you can't actually get it in the game unless you buy it. So Bethesda is just officially making a exclusive pay-only item that can give certain people an advantage if they're willing to spend the $7. It's a bunch of malarkey according to everybody on Reddit who's talking about it right now. And it just feels like Bethesda's trying to recoup the lost money that they have, so they have to break their promises because not as many people are playing this game as everybody once thought. So it's just kind of all falling apart. And I mean, when you piss off your only consumer base that's still with you after all the other controversies, I mean, they have to be the most dedicated crowd to stay with you, and you throw that all away for $7. I'm guessing that at the very least, it's a nuclear-proof freaking refrigerator like Indiana Jones has, where you can just, you can be yeeted halfway across an entire field and still survive. Isn't that right? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, or whatever the crap that terrible Indiana Jones movie was. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? You know what's right though? Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. My friends, I will tell you that this game, I was just like, another Dragon Ball Z game. How many times can they tell the same story over and over and it actually be good? Well, after seeing gameplay that came out at Gamescom, I got super excited for it. And now we have an official release date of January 17th, 2020, as well as some indication of the different versions that you can get. If you choose to pre-order DBZ Kakarot, you actually get a side quest called A Competitive Party with Friends, which gives you access to a few different things. And also unveiled about DBZ Kakarot was the fact that it's going to be going through the Boo saga, not just the Cell saga. So that's quite amazing. I love it so much. And they also have revealed that adult Gohan and his great Saiyaman counterpart will also be a playable character. And then in case you want the collector's edition of this thing, it comes with a nice little diorama that looks pretty amazing, but it's going to set you back a pretty penny of $330. But you also get the game, a hardcover art book, a steel book, and the season pass for the game. But I'm frankly, honestly excited for DBZ Kakarot, to be quite honest.
Honestly.
And another game that I think I might actually be excited for is Project Resistance. We talked about this in a previous Hot News. It's a game developed by Capcom that's supposed to be a multiplayer Resident Evil experience, and we weren't sure if it was going to be more like Dead by Daylight or more Left 4 Dead, but it appears that it's kind of a little bit of neither. So what it's going to be is 4 people are playing as the humans to compete against the mastermind, who basically then plays as a strategy game where you can place different zombies and monsters and traps to try to prevent the humans from reaching their goal, including being able to put Mr. X out there, or if you're PlayStation, Mr. Cross. I'm actually not necessarily too not hyped for this game. I think I might actually try it out. If I can get back to anything that's like the Left 4 Dead experience with friends, that's what I want. And now, we got some news about Nintendo laying the smackdown on another ROM site. In case you're not familiar, Love ROMs got taken down earlier this year. Nintendo hates ROMs Reece, tell us about this ROM hating.
Basically, ROM Universe is the latest target they have their eyes on now. They've been hosting, Switch games and Wii U games and basically all the recent titles. Basically, they added a fast lane for downloads. ROM Universe is adding a $30 annual membership that allows users to grab games at a quicker download speed. So Nintendo's been quick on the legal side of things to kind of shut this down as soon as they can, and looking at some hefty payback. So it's $150,000 for each copyright infringement and an additional $2 million per trademark infringement. That's not looking good for them, considering there's probably around 300,000 Nintendo Switch game downloads from them. That's a big yikes.
Yeah, and from what we've seen, the courts tend to side with Nintendo on these issues because it is just straight up piracy.
There is the argument about preserving game history and all that stuff.
But not with a Switch game.
This is recent titles that have just come out and people are downloading. ROM Universe isn't the only website that Nintendo's taken down recently. Last November, they took down Love ROMs and Love Retro. They settled out of court for, I think it was $12 million.
That's a lot of dollarinos. You know what else is a lot of dollarinos? The HTC Vive Cosmos, which is officially coming out on October 3rd. It is the trackerless headset coming out from HTC. Obviously, Oculus came out with the Rift S recently, which is about $400. So it's around double the price for the HTC version. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of reasons why necessarily you would pay double the price. It still is a pretty good VR headset. You get an 88% increase in resolution over the original Vive, and it's still at 90 Hertz with the 110-degree field of view. But at the same time, trackerless headset Rift S at the $400 price point actually makes a whole lot more sense in my opinion. Obviously, I haven't tried out the Cosmos, but also the Cosmos does have a feature which would allow you to combine it with previous lighthouses that you picked up with other HTC Vives so that you could have a more enhanced setup with the tracking. So it's a weird pitch because they say you don't need trackers, but they're also saying if you have trackers, you should probably use them because you're gonna have better accuracy, which makes sense, but at the same time, it's not, $700. Speaking of dogs, I'm so sorry. Okay, well, you can pet dogs in Red Dead Online now because you could pet dogs previously in the single player version of the game. Reece, tell us a story.
I had a story once where I tried to call a dog over and then he came and then a train came and it was
melted dog everywhere.
It was a bad time.
Reece called the dog in Red Dead Redemption and murdered it. Shame. Well, now he can do that with other people around in Red Dead Online. But you know what game doesn't allow you to pet the animals? Fire Emblem, Three Houses. Yeah, that's right. You still can't touch any of the dang cats or dogs that are around on campus. No, but what you can get is the new DLC pack that is coming out. You get new auxiliary battles as well as new clothing options for your characters. I actually still really like Fire Emblem Three Houses. I haven't had much time to actually play it, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy the crap out of it once I have time. Now we have some news about the Joker movie that's coming out in theaters sometime soon. Reece, skinny us!
Oh, basically, director Todd Phillips confirmed the whole thing that everyone was thinking, that this is a standalone film and then it's not connected in any way to an extended DC universe. So the upcoming Batman film with Robert Pattinson, no connection whatsoever. It was more of a deep dive into the character to find out the backstory. I guess they made a bit of their own backstory, but it was more of a character study than an actual big DC universe thing. Joaquin Phoenix was the person that they wrote the role for. There was no other actors even considered for the role of the Joker in this.
And yesterday we talked about how Control is a game that I don't know if should get awards, should get more ads, whatever. Anyways, there's a DLC plan that was announced with a timeline and a time frame of everything. I am not hyped about this basically because I've never played Alan Wake, but one of the expansions is supposed to include Alan Wake into Control somehow, considering Remedy made Control as well as Alan Wake. Reece, thoughts on Alan Wake?
I loved the game when it first came out. I think I played it back on the Xbox 360, and it was probably one of my favorite games to date, very dark, mysterious. So I guess it fits in well with the whole Control universe. Bringing this in as some kind of paranormal side of things, I feel like it could work theme-wise.
Speaking of themes, there's now Persona 5 themes for PlayStation 4s coming out in Japan, which obviously Persona 5 Royal coming out on October 31st in Japan in spring 2020 for the rest of the world. There is no word as to whether or not these Persona 5 PS4s will be available in the United States, but holy crap, if they are, mine. Now, we have a Joker. I love the game. Speaking of games, there is a One Punch Man game coming out, and there's been some discussion as to how they're actually going to balance the fact that Saitama is ridiculously powerful and can one-punch people. How do you incorporate that into a video game? Well, apparently you do that by allowing people to have 3 fighters on their team, and then if you put Saitama as one of them, he's always the last person to go, but he's late for the fight. So if your first 2 fighters die before Saitama shows up, then you lose the game. Alternatively, you can not include Saitama, and then you would be able to have a decent 3-character setup, but why would you play a One Punch Man game without Saitama? I don't understand. I don't know. From what I'm hearing, there's some like good, interesting parts about the game. It has a lot of the same like quips and funny quirkiness that the anime had, so it could be decent. I'm not understanding it as a fighting game. I think it probably should have just stayed as an anime. But you know what doesn't stay in its own genre? Death Stranding, especially when they give it a 7-minute trailer. I don't think Hideo Kojima knows what a trailer is. Essentially, you get a briefing from the person who's presumably running the United States of America in the Oval Office to give Norman Reedus his briefing on what he is supposed to accomplish in the game, but you can see that this is definitely going to be more movie than video game, and especially with the announcement of the very easy mode that they're going to be implementing in the game so that you can just enjoy the cinematics, I can imagine that this is going to be like several feature-length movies worth of like cutscenes in this dang game. It's coming out on November 8th? That's really soon. You know what else is really soon? Nioh 2. It's apparently coming out in early 2020. There was a Tokyo Game Show trailer that wasn't supposed to necessarily be promoted on the US PlayStation YouTube account, which gave away the release date of early 2020. But if you would want the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice predecessor that was kind of a Dark Souls slight ripoff of Samurai's, then Nioh 2 is your way to go. I actually never played the first Nioh. I'm just memeing things. Speaking of memes, GameStop. Okay, we talked about yesterday how they're in a lot of trouble and they have 4 core plans to bring back their business, but also in an interview call, they described how they're not necessarily worried about the next generation of consoles and that digital sales really don't affect our business very much. We find that people tend to prefer physical copies. No, GameStop, stop. Stop. You know who else told people to stop? Capcom with a lawsuit over Koei Tecmo games. Reece, what's the lawsuit about? How much did they win? What's going down?
Basically, yeah, Capcom was awarded nearly $1.5 million after it was found that Koei Tecmo games infringed upon 2 of its patents. The patents had to do with something like random. It was controller vibration techniques to alert players to nearby enemies. This is the second round of court battles now after they were found guilty first time around for only one of the patents, and they were ordered to pay $50,000, and Capcom's just like, nope.
We want more.
We want more.
Wow. Okay. Well, anyways, that's the end of Hot News for today. Let us know what you think of Fallout 76. What do you think about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? You excited for it? Let us know your thoughts about everything and anything down below in the comments. I'm Brett with the Hot News Channel. That's been Reece. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Probably the worst one so far.
I'm so sorry.